What's up in War Eagle World Poor family? It's your guy Ike Jones back with another morning drop. Today we are doing our final position group breakdowns and we're talking running backs and specialists today. Let's get straight to it, man. Y'all know how we do right here, War Report style. Let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report.
Morning drop. It is Wednesday, August the 21st, and we are in here in the Rogue Shop morning drop on the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. And hopefully everyone is off to a great day. If you have some sort of sleep, stress, pain, anxiety, make sure you head over to rogueshop.com. Use code FREEZE for 15% off of your purchase at America's #1 online dispensary. That lets them know the War Report sent you over there, and we definitely appreciate that. Today, we are tapping in for our final position group breakdown, and we're going to start with our running backs and our specialists today, combining these two just because there are some guys from the running back room that will likely be part of the specialist group. And we've already kind of talked about some of the wide receivers, but let's get into it and talk the running back position. The question we have today for those of you out there listening is, can Auburn have a 1,000-yard rusher? Can Auburn produce 1,000 yards from a single rusher this year? Let's look at the group that we have out here. And of course, Jarquez Hunter is going to be the guy who is first and foremost on this list as far as running back one is concerned. But the list as it stands is Brian Batiste still listed on the group. And, prayers are still with him and his family as they go through their ordeal. Hopefully he continues his road to recovery. But Brian Batiste, running back there. Damari Alston next up on the list. You guys know I'm a big fan of Damari there. Jeremiah Cobb, Jarquez Hunter, Sean Jackson, Justin Jones, and Christian Burnett, all of the returning guys. There's only one guy that's no longer on the roster there. That's Luke Rebels. Actually, I have him listed as transfer, but he could have graduated. I'm actually not sure about that. I need to check on that. And then only addition to the room is Cole Gamble, a walk-on. So there's two walk-ons currently because Justin Jones was awarded a scholarship recently. So you currently have uh, 5 scholarship running backs on the team. And then, of course, Brian Batiste still there. But there's a stable of backs that Auburn's going to be able to utilize and have really some talented guys in case there are some injury concerns that happen throughout the season. But let's just kind of start from the top of the list. Running back one again, Jarquez Hunter. Last year, came close to 1,000 yards, missing a game last season. I think he gets there this year. I think Jarquez Hunter gets to his 1,000 yards this season because I feel as if this team is going to be better up front on the offensive line as far as run blocking is concerned. I'm a big fan. We've already talked about the offensive line, but I'm a big fan of some of the guys they have up there that are really bringing some nasty to this offensive line. Particularly, I like what's going on right there at the center, of course, but Jeremiah Wright, big fan of Jeremiah Wright and what he's doing. I think that between he and Connor Lew up there in the front, you've got enough guys that are going to motivate these other guys to get up there and really be people movers. And when you have a couple of guys up there that are doing that, your running back, they're right there next to each other, right? Center and right guard. They're right there next to each other. The right side of that line is going to be moving people out of the way, creating some holes for Jarquez Hunter to be able to go through. I think that he gets to that 1,000 yards. Amplify that with the fact that the passing game should be a little more prolific this season because the pass catchers are more of a threat. I think it's going to be difficult for defenses to try to commit additional folks in there into the box to try to stop the run game. And therefore, Jarquez Hunter is going to have his opportunities to get out there and eat. Not just Jarquez Hunter, though. Of course, I like the rest of this running back room. I've already talked about Damari Alston is a huge asset to this team, and he's a guy who is going to be able to go out there and he's kind of a Mr. Do everything. Like he does everything well that you want a running back to be able to do as far as being able to run between the tackles, and he can bounce it outside, and he can make catches out of the backfield, and he can do the pass blocking things that you need and blitz pickup. He does all of those things. The only thing he doesn't really have really is that home run speed, right? Like he doesn't have the top end breakaway speed where he gets out into the open and he's going to hit a 70 yarder, right? But he does everything, all of the little things that you need to be able to be an every down back out there. I think Damari Alston's going to go out there and he's going to make his presence felt. And then you've got Jeremiah Cobb, who's going to get more opportunities this season with the unfortunate incident that happened with Brian Batty. There's no real like conflict between how they're going to utilize those guys out there. And he's going to get his opportunities to run the football a little bit more this season than he did last year. As Coach Hugh Freeze says, he's bulked up a little bit in this offseason, true freshman last year. And he was really more so of just kind of like uh, I won't say a gadget guy, but they used him in ways that just weren't just like straight up running back, turn around, hand the ball off to him situations. There was more speed sweep stuff or pop pass stuff, and they're putting him on little swing passes and things of that nature. So you're going to get more of a running back by committee this year, and Jeremiah Cobb's going to contribute to that a little bit this season. Um, Listen, Coach Hugh Freeze already said that he wants to be able to utilize this running back room, potentially having more of them on the field together at the same time, maybe even all three. So you're going to get an opportunity to see these running backs split out as slot receivers. You're going to get to see two back sets with both of them in the game at the same time. They played some two back sets last year with this running back group, and I like some of the things that they did out of that. Um, Now, some of those, most of those sets, I would say, with the two back sets, were things that were in there um, when they were trying to run more of like a triple option type of thing. But I do like the creativity that they've hinted at. One of the things that we talked about, Coach Reese said, the multiplicity that you can expect to see with the types of personnel groupings that they're going to try out there this season. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing multiple running backs in the game at the same time because those guys are absolute weapons, especially if you are not as confident in what you have in some of your pass catchers and you want to try to get them some time off the field. He already talked about trying to remove Fairweather off the field so he's not playing as many snaps. So maybe, if you're going to be running some stuff rather than having Fairweather out there as a lead blocker on stuff, you can have one of those running backs out there as lead block and they can still catch the football so they can, do the situation where they feign a block and then they slip out to the side and they get a little swing pass or something like that. I expect to see more of the screen game being implemented this season with these guys. All three of these guys who are 1, 2, and 3 in this rotation can catch the football. Underrated part of Jarquez Hunter's game is his ability to catch the football out of the backfield. He showed that a lot in his freshman season, a little bit in his sophomore year, but didn't really get an opportunity to do that very much last season. They didn't try to use him in the screen game, didn't really get him out there into the play as far as running routes or anything like that last year, but he showed his ability to do that his first 2 seasons at Auburn. I expect to see that return a little bit for him this year. We already know what Jeremiah Cobb can do. He showed himself to be a good pass catcher out of the backfield last year. Again, he was getting used in some of those situations. But Damari Austin, don't sleep on him and his ability to be able to impact the game in more than just that single way of just turn around, Peyton Thorne turning and handing the ball off to him. He, to me, again, is probably the best between the tackles runner, just straight like the jump cuts that he makes from cutting from like an A gap all the way over to a B or C cap. He does some remarkable things between the tackles, and his ability to run downhill and finish runs, I think, is going to pay dividends. The only issue with him last year was his health. He seems to be in good health this all season. He wasn't in bad health going into the season, but he did have a couple of times during some games where he got nicked up. Of course, the concussion situation early in that Cal game. And then he had the situation that happened to him that knocked him out for a couple of weeks when he got into that Texas A&M game. So hopefully this season he'll have an opportunity to remain healthy and go out there and show what he's got. But don't sleep on the backups behind those guys, right? If there is a situation where someone goes down, I actually like what Auburn has in Sean Jackson and Justin Jones as a fourth and fifth running back in this rotation. Those two guys, Sean Jackson is that sledgehammer that can come in there and he can get you the tough yards between the tackles. And he's got a little bit more speed than you would expect to see from a guy his size. And Justin Jones runs hard behind his pads, and he's a difficult one to bring down in the open field. He's got a little shiftiness to him. He earned that scholarship for a reason. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to go out there and play some special teams for Auburn. Maybe not as a returner or anything like that, but he is going to be able to be out there and be effective for Auburn in a lot of different ways. So don't sleep on those two young men, as well as being able to contribute ways for this team coming up this season. In addition to all of those things of them just running the football, they're going to be able to perform in special teams. We'll flip over and we'll talk about specialists. But hey, you don't need a specialist if you're having issues in the bedroom, because you can use something like Joy Mode. I mean, maybe this will work for you, but let's call out the obvious. Everyone wants to head in there with confidence, right? And feel like the best version of themselves. But the problem is sometimes our thoughts get in the way of the performance, and maybe we're just not reaching our full potential. Imagine a supplement you can take like your favorite greens packet that gives you that extra dose of confidence and saves you the embarrassment and hassle of a traditional erection pill. Joy Mode's sexual performance booster is an all natural and science backed solution to increase blood flow, firmness, and stamina and performance. Stir in 6 to 8 ounces of water in 45 minutes before sexual activity and watch the magic unfold literally. Uh, Redefine your intimacy and go to tryjoymode.com for 20% off with code rapport. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code rapport at tryjoymode.com. Ingredients with integrity. That's Joy Mode. So make sure you guys go over and hit up our folks at Joy Mode if you have any issues with cardiovascular health, and or if you want to help with your intimacy in the bedroom, they got you covered over there. Let's continue and talk about the specialist group that is there with Auburn. And we'll start with the guys who are not going to have multi use, and that is your kickers and your long snappers, right? So, Marshall Myers, Evan McGuire, Kyle Vaccarella, and Jacob Quattlebaum all gone from Auburn. But added there to the group, Towns McGo, who has gotten a lot of publicity. He's the preferred walk on that came from Auburn High School, did so well in the A-Day game, perfect performance. Coach Free said he was a little up and down during fall, but looking forward to seeing what he can do if Alex McPherson's not able to go this season. And all signs point right now that he's not going to be available early in the season. So Towns will get his opportunities to be the main kickoff and field goal kicker for this team coming up. Also added to the team is Charlie Schwinger, who's a sophomore, and Ian Vachon. Ian Vachon had been doing a little kicking during camp, and he might be available to do some of the kickoff duties as well. As far as your punters are concerned, both of those are returning guys, Oscar Chapman and Gabe Russo, the redshirt freshman. Oscar Chapman, the Australian rules Aussie guy, who is there and has been a fixture in Auburn special teams for the last 3 seasons. Still available this season for his last year. And then as far as long snappers go, if you watch anything that Auburn social media puts out there, or you are on War Eagle Plus, you are very familiar with Reed Hughes, who does the Running with Reed series, but he is a long snapper. But then Auburn got two studs in this class, right? Keaton McNutt and J.R. Buckner. So Auburn has some five-star long snappers there on the team to be able to help with the battery. That's going to be oh so crucial. Look, the kicking game is super important. You guys know I get frustrated every single year with kicks that aren't going into the end zone or kicking the ball out of bounds, that kind of stuff. And being able to have weapons in the kicking game is super important for the way that you call plays. Especially when you get down into the red zone, you can afford to be maybe a little bit more conservative because you've got three in your back pocket because you've got a weapon that can make it from 35 plus, right? Or a guy that can boom it from 50. Right? You can change the way that you potentially call plays once you get into certain areas of the field. But Auburn has the guys that have the leg. The question is, when it's time on game day, is the true freshman preferred walk on Towns McGo going to be ready and available to make those pressure kicks when you get into a game versus Cal? When you get into a situation where you need 3 points versus Arkansas, is he going to be able to come up big in those situations? We will see. We will know the answer to that very soon, whether or not he's going to be there. Again, Oscar Chapman, don't really have any worries about him. He's been solid his entire time in his Auburn career. Want him to continue to do the things that he's been doing. And then you got kickoffs, right? Like, I don't know who the guy's going to be for kickoffs. I think it's going to be Towns again for that, but I want to see this young man booted through the back of the end zone. Let's not even play around with trying to figure out whether or not we have good kickoff coverage teams. Let's just keep the ball away from them. Let's go and line it up on a touchback and keep that moving. But the other portion that I want to talk about in terms of the specialists are going to be your return personnel, right? The ones that are going to be returning kicks for Auburn. Now, Coach Freeze said that he was likely going to be utilizing some of those phenomenal freshmen that Auburn has in the wide receiver room as return specialists. Like, he mentioned Malcolm Simmons, he mentioned Bryce Kane as potentially guys that could return kicks and punts. But he also said that they had been giving some consideration and he had been asking pretty fervently for the opportunity to do it for Jarquez Hunter to be a part of the kick return game. And I think he and Jeremiah Cobb are both going to get opportunities to return kicks for this team this season out of the running back room. Now, because I don't really like the fact that you're getting extra opportunities for Jarquez Hunter to take additional hits during the game. I guess in his mind, he's like, listen, if you're going to limit the number of rushes that I have, I want to be able to impact the game in other ways. And he said himself when we talked to him at the fireside last year, he's like, he doesn't ever want to come off the field. That's why when he was in high school, he was returning kicks. He was on kick coverage team. He was out there playing running back. He was playing linebacker. He's just keep me on the field as much as possible. I want to be out there making plays for my team. I think that's something that he still has in him right now in his senior season, wanting to be out there every opportunity he can. And he has been itching to get back there and return kicks again. He didn't get that opportunity last season. And it was something he did early in his career when he was not the feature back. Tank Bigsby was handling the feature back stuff. He got his opportunities in the kick game. He wants to get back there and do it again this year. And they are looking at giving him that opportunity with Brian Battie not being available as the primary kickoff or kick return guy. But again, you do have the Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Canes of the world that should have their opportunities and availabilities to go and do that. And then when you get into the punt return game, of course, Keontae Scott, but there are some of those freshmen that are going to be able to go back there and do that as well with Kane and Simmons. So it's going to be interesting to see how the kick game is evolved this year. We still haven't had a kickoff return for a touchdown at Auburn in a while, but Keontae Scott did break the streak of not having punt returns for touchdowns last year in that Arkansas game. He returned one for a TD. So looking to see some more dynamic playmaking happening in the return game this season. I think that there are some guys out there that can actually be special in that regard. And never count out Jarquez Hunter when he has the ball in his hands, because he's just a guy who doesn't go down with the first tackle or the first would-be tackler that comes after him. Yards after contact is something that he has specialized in, and that tends to be a breaker, a game breaker when you're talking about the return game, because that initial hit doesn't get the guy down, and then everybody kind of relaxes, and then he takes off running for additional yards. So, hopefully, though, again, I don't want to see him in that. That this is me being the selfish fan guy, right? Like I don't want to see him have to take those additional. Just go and get your 1,000 yards on the ground, maybe 1,500 all purpose. I don't know if he can get another 500 catching the ball, but that feels a little weird to say that, considering I don't know how many yards the entirety of the team is gonna or the quarterbacks are gonna throw for. But still, just not sure if I want to see that situation with him. But I do want to hear your thoughts on all of this stuff. Of course, tell me what you think. First and foremost, ask this at the top. Can Auburn have 1,000-yard rusher? Is this going to be the year Jarquez Hunter gets his 1,000 yards? He has been tabbed as from the media as the best returning running back in this conference. This conference has produced 1,000-yard rushers consistently. Auburn has been known for that. Hasn't happened in a while. Can he be the guy to do that? Well, I won't say in a while. It's a couple of years. But anyway, can he be the guy to do that this season? And who are going to be the guys that you want to be able to see back there returning kicks? And do you think Auburn's going to be able to be more consistent in the kicking game as far as the kickoff game, getting the ball into the end zone and having touchbacks? Because that frustrated me again to no end last year. Anyway, I want to know all of those things. Tell me those things right down there in the comment section. I will love to hear from you guys. I'm going to get out of here, but you guys need to head straight over to the Rogue Shop and use code FREEZE4 if you have any anxiety about the running back situation or who's going to be returning kicks for Auburn. Don't worry about it. Rogue Shop's got you covered. Again, code FREEZE4, get you 15% off of your purchase. Before you get out of here, go ahead and click like on that video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the content with somebody else. We'll be back at you tonight with the midweek report. Green Name Gang, make sure that you are checking out the film review that's posted up on the channel right now. But I'm out of here, man. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle.